Welcome back to Mobility Insider. I'm Morten Hannesbo. Our channel is not sponsored, and all of the views and conclusions are based on me having worked in the automotive business for 35 years. Today we're going to talk about this vehicle. This is the Ford F-150 Lightning. The F-Series is the most important lineup for Ford. Last year, Ford sold 750,000 F-Series trucks across the world. And of those, 24,165 were Ford F-150 Lightnings. So is the F-150 Lightning a success or not? Well, seen in the context, 1 in 30 F-Series trucks is an F-150 Lightning. I think there's more potential for Ford, but I think it's a decent result. And after all, it was an increase of 55% compared to the prior year. Up until now, you could not buy the F-Series trucks officially in Europe because Ford did not export it. That meant you did not have the support of the European Ford dealer network and the warranty coverage. But now this one, the F-150 Lightning, is exported by Ford officially and sold through some of the European dealers. That means if anything goes wrong, you have the full support of the Ford dealer network and the factory warranty, and that's a big difference. So when you buy the F-150 Lightning, what do you get? Well, you get a pickup truck, of course, so a big cargo bed in the rear. You get a huge frunk of 400 liters. I've never seen a frunk that big. You get plenty of flexibility in the cabin as well. In the rear seat, you can fold the seats, so you have even more space for your tools or for your luggage. In terms of power, you get 458 horsepower, 1,050 Newton meters. So you're never short of power with this car. The battery has a 91 kilowatt hour net capacity. That gives you about 300 to 350 kilometers of usable range. In terms of dimensions, it is a very big vehicle. It's 629 centimeters in the length, 244 centimeters in the width, and it weighs about 2.9 tons in total. So on the topic of range, I have been measuring the consumption over the last couple of days, and I'm currently averaging about 30 kilowatt hour consumption per 100 kilometers, and with the 91 kilowatt hour battery, exactly about 300 kilometers of range. So what choice do you have if you want to buy an F-150 Lightning? Well, you have one choice, and that's this version in this blue color with the 20-inch rims in the Lariat trim level. And why is Ford limiting that? Well, if you sell a car like this in the European market, you're probably going to sell a couple of thousands or something like that. So Ford has to keep the complexity down. And I think that's a very wise choice. And what you get is a fully spec'd vehicle. There's not really anything you're missing out on. Inside the F-150, of course, you get the feeling of a rocket car that is made to be used every day at work. But Ford also did a pretty good job of making the car giving you a luxury feeling when you drive it. And of course that is helped by the fact that this is the Lariat trim, which is the second highest level trim that Ford offers for the F-Series. But you do have a lot of hard plastic in the car, so you can hear it and you can feel it. The benefit is that it will last a very long time. The other side is that it doesn't give you that high-end feeling. In terms of assist systems, you get adaptive cruise control, you get the warning systems for dead angles, you get 4 different drive modes as well. Normal, sport gives you a little bit more sporty feeling, faster response for steering and accelerator. You have an off-road mode as well. And finally, you have the tow haul mode, which will help you control a trailer if you have a trailer fitted to the car. In the F-150 you get 2 screens, one in the front of the driver, a 12-inch screen that gives you the basic information such as speed, state of charge, battery temperature and trip information, which works really well. Then you have the center screen, which is in portrait format. I don't particularly like the portrait format because some of the information you want to get is positioned in the bottom of the screen. If you take your eyes off the road and look, that second or 2 seconds may be critical. Overall, the screen works pretty well. It's reasonably fast. The resolution is quite good. I think you'll find a faster screen in some other cars, but I would be quite happy with the way the screen works in terms of the speed and response time. The driving position is actually very comfortable. And also you have a lot of space between the passenger and the driver. You have about 75 centimeters approximately. So it's a big car inside and outside. You have a big steering wheel. The driving is soft, comfortable. You have a lot of turning to do when you have a bend, but overall the car is fine to drive, especially on a country road like this. It's quite comfortable. In cities, obviously, you'll have to work a little bit harder to get into a parking spot. The seating position is very high. You are at the eye level of bus drivers and other van drivers, which is quite nice. And of course, you have excellent visibility in the front of you. The seats are pretty comfortable. They are very plasticky, which may be a nuisance in the summer on hot days, but the comfort level is very good. So one big question is, of course, the consumption of the F-150. This is the big car, 458 horsepower, and the size is very, very substantial, so you have a high coefficient of drag. I've been driving for 190 kilometers so far, and I've had a consumption of 31 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And this is a mix of highway driving, a trip to the airport, country road driving, and some city driving as well. So it's a good normal mix as I would often use my car. And based on that, I think 31 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is a pretty good result and certainly acceptable. That brings me to the conclusion after having been driving the F-150 Lightning for a few days. The F-150 is one of the legendary American vehicles, up there with the Mustang and the Corvette. It's been produced since 1948 in 14 different generations. This is the latest and the 14th generation of the F-Series. The car drives really well, despite its huge dimensions, but you actually manage quite well because you've got cameras everywhere, and the car is pretty easy to manage on the country roads and of course the highways, but in town it is sometimes a little bit of a challenge. So there are only just two things that are negative about the car. First of all, the dimensions. You have to have space for the car in your garage and where you park and where you drive. In town, it's not the easiest one to get around. And the second thing is that it's fairly pricey. In the US, it's about $80,000 US, and here the F-150 Lightning will set you back 127,000 Swiss francs. Now, there are good reasons why there's a big markup for transportation, for development, for the homologation, and for the adaptation for the European market. But nevertheless, those two things will probably limit the popularity of the F-150 Lightning in Europe, the price and the size. I've decided to give it 3 stars out of 4 stars because there's a couple of things about the car that I would have liked Ford to do differently or do better. First of all, the plastics in the car are a little bit cheap and hard, I think, and seen in the context of the high price of 127,000 Swiss francs. I think there's some mismatch between the two. But overall, I really like the car. And those who have a need for a big car like this one, where you tow a heavy trailer now and then, or if you live on a farm, then I think the car is worth considering. And if I lived in the US or in a farm here, I would probably consider having an F-150 in my driveway. Thank you for watching Mobility Insider. If you know someone who might benefit from the video, please do share it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Thank you for watching.